for the one and only Chef Sharon Frazier.
Self-written introduction, the one and only. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Glad to see a few of you got up out of bed. I'm going to wake you up, trust me. We're going to talk about something very, very, very dear to my heart. It's the topic of cholesterol, but it's also the topic of Alzheimer's dementia. All right? It's a skyrocketing disease, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay? The medical profession, and as you heard in my introduction, the medical profession is kind of going in the wrong direction. And that's why people are more and more and more being afflicted with this disease. It is amongst, of course, the senior population. And as those numbers continue to rise, also so does the number of prescriptions being written for cholesterol and statin-lowering drugs. So we're going to talk about today mainly the critical role that cholesterol plays, and then toward the end of the conversation, you're going to be able to tie and put all the dots together, and you're going to go, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening, okay? So I just want you to follow with me. Today is not designed to be controversial. It's not designed to make everybody get all upset. It is designed for one thing only. Open your mind. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not asking you to believe one word I'm saying, but what I am asking you to do is to do your research, okay? We're running to the doctor like crazy, and most of us have given up our health. We've given up our rights for the almighty doctor. Now, understand one thing. I'm not against doctors. I came from that community, folks, okay? I say 30 years, but it's more like 40. Okay, I don't want to really get too close to the age thing there, but it's over 40 years. And I started in the medical community, and I retired from the medical community, okay? So I know it quite well, including the doctor side, my side, which was the surgery side, and then I also was on the laboratory side because I was involved, before I got into surgery, I was involved in the biological testing. So when you would go and have your blood drawn, and then they would send it away to a laboratory, guess who I was? I was the laboratory. Okay, so I understand about blood testing, so on and so forth. So, with that note, let's get started. First of all, Alzheimer's is a disease that did not exist 40 years ago. Did not exist 40 years ago. You can't find it in a dictionary.
You said 4 years ago?
40,
Oh, 40, okay.
40 years ago. I'm sorry.
I was thinking.
Oh, you thought I said 4?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. 40 years ago. And it's not found in a medical dictionary. It's not in any textbook at that time. And it wasn't even part of the curriculum in the medical industry. It was first found in literature in 1979. And guess what? It's the number 4 killer of adults over the age of 65. My mother, my dad, and my father's brother all died from Alzheimer's. My father's brother, it was his primary cause of death. My dad, it was his secondary cause of death. And my mother, her secondary cause of death. Okay? It's very scary. Alzheimer's is a physician-caused disease.
Ooh.
Physician-caused disease. And we're going to go into that very shortly. You're going to understand where I'm going with this and why it is a physician-caused disease. Now, with today's cholesterol and statin-lowering drugs, the goal was to have our cholesterol around 200. When I was a lab tech back in the long time ago, okay, 60s to be exact, blood cholesterol levels at that time, healthy blood cholesterol levels, were 300. And guess what? Heart attacks were still the number 1 killer. Now, cholesterols are 175, 200 in that range. Guess what? Heart disease is still the number 1 killer. So what does that tell you? Does it tell you maybe that cholesterol is not the problem? But this isn't what they're selling us. We need to lower our cholesterol. We need to reduce our salt. We need to do all these things. Yet still we're dying like flies. That is not the problem. All right? Now, when there is a deficiency of cholesterol, you can just about count approximately 25 cholesterol-related diseases that will follow. And we're going to get into the mechanics of the cholesterol, and you're going to understand why I'm saying this. Okay. Now, 75% of our brain is cholesterol. God-given, universe-given, call it whatever you want. 75%. The purpose of cholesterol is to insulate the brain. And the brain is insulated by something that's called myelin, M-Y-E-L-I-N. It's also known as the myelin sheath. The myelin sheath looks like, if you look at the brain, you have nerve endings. And the nerve endings are protected by this myelin sheath. Very similar to a shoelace. Like the very tip of the shoelace has that little plastic coating. That's to keep things from fraying and coming apart. Well, guess what? It's the same in the brain. The same. So if 75% of our brain is cholesterol, why are we reducing it? Right? 90% of the cholesterol, we make about 10% of what our body needs every day. 90% of it has to come from our diet. Interesting. 90% has to come from our diet. Unlike what they're telling you. No this, no that, no eggs, no butter, no none, no none, no none. Now, one thing I want to say before we really get into the crux of today's lecture. The lecture today has nothing to do with being raw, being vegan, being raw vegan, or being vegetarian, or paleo. It has nothing to do with that. This is to educate you on what is happening to our population because we are being fed the wrong information. Our doctors have it all wrong. And if not, then why are people still dying of heart attacks? Okay? When cholesterol is supposed to be the culprit. So when you give up chicken and red meat and skins and eggs and cheese, again, remember this is not about law. It takes approximately 6 to 10 years for the body to deplete your natural cholesterol that your body has. And at that point, with the shortage and now the nutritional deficiency, the body starts going haywire. You can expect about 25 diseases caused from cholesterol or the lack thereof. And there's basically a global breakdown that's happening. Cholesterol is a raw material, and it's necessary for sex hormones, it's necessary for growth hormones, and it's the key component in cells. Cells need it. Membranes need cholesterol. So let's take a look at our body. Are we not nothing but a bunch of cells? We're nose cells, eye cells, pancreas cells, spleen cells, our entire body, because of the cells, and there are trillions of them. We need the cholesterol. We need it. Most abundant steroid in the body, our favorite cholesterol. So if it's the most abundant, then why don't we leave it alone? Because you're going to find out very shortly there's a lot of money to be made. That's why we don't leave it alone. It's highly protective. It protects the body. Statins are designed to do one thing, lower your cholesterol. But we're going to find out very shortly how it does that. Okay, here we go. You ready to rock and roll? Okay, to me, cholesterol is probably one of the most misunderstood subjects in the medical community. Most misunderstood, all right? Your doctor has it all wrong, as I said before. It's important to the body. It's so important to the body that the body makes it. So how bad can it be? Somebody knows what they're doing. But yet still, we're telling everyone we need to lower our cholesterol. And if you notice now, they've changed. Remember before you could only have like 1 egg a week? Now they've upped it, right? Because they're getting it. Guess where you get your cholesterol from, boys and girls? The yolk. So those of you that are continuing to eat egg whites, good luck. You can eat egg whites all you want. You'll end up with Alzheimer's dementia. Okay?
Whoa.
You need the cholesterol.
You gotta do that. That's important.
Yes.
That's
So what I'm
very-
saying is, sorry.
That's very insightful.
Yes.
For a lady your age.
Uh,
That's a compliment.
don't let this face fool you, honey. I'm old. I'll be 68 in August, okay? Okay, so now we have trillions and trillions of cells, like I mentioned, nose cells, pancreas cells, bone cells, you name it. And the statin drugs are designed to lower our cholesterol. But here's what happens. What they actually do is that they inflame your liver. They stop your body from producing this very valuable body steroid. And in the process of suppressing the cholesterol, it just takes a period of time before your body runs out. All right? Now, it's going to run out on its own naturally. So what happens now if you're going to take a statin drug? You think you might get there a little bit faster? All right? Like I said, I watched my parents and my father's brother all die from Alzheimer's. And they were taking statin drugs, and I'll name them: Lipitor, Zocor, Crestor. Okay? They're killers because they poison the body. They inflame the body. Right? And guess what? By reducing the cholesterol and causing this inflammation, the reason why they do blood tests to check you every 6 to 7 to 8 months is because they're checking to see if they have induced hepatitis. It's called AIH.
Excuse me, not too cold, young man. We're older people. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we inflame the liver. We stop the body from producing cholesterol. And the AIH, which is your autoimmune hepatitis, is why they're checking your blood. This, too, is a physician-induced disease because of the cholesterol and the damage the statins do to the liver. That's why they're checking. And I don't know if you guys have been checking television lately. They have a whole new line of drugs for you now. Oh, yes, absolutely. We've got one, what is it called? Ivanka or something, and the first side effect might be sudden death. So I'm really excited about that one. Okay. So it makes you wonder, and we as a public, we have to get a grip on this. Do we deal with the disease, or do we deal with the side effects? The side effects, I guarantee you, will kill you. They killed my parents. My dad was about my height, about 155 pounds. They had him on 20 milligrams. Then they went to 40 milligrams. And they put him on 80 milligrams. And I watched my mom, my dad, and my uncle over a period of about 15 years become vegetables. So that none of them even recognized who I was. Now, let's back up for a moment. Let's look at the brain. Let's talk about the myelin sheath again and the importance of the cholesterol. We've all heard about the brain produces this amyloid plaque. What the body does is, the body is always trying to reach something that's called homeostasis, which means a status quo. It knows how to be healthy. It knows how to heal itself, in spite of what allopathic medicine tells you. Allopathic medicine is our Western medicine that we practice today. Allopathic medicine has to do with the fact that doctors do not believe that the body can heal itself. So therefore, we will compartmentalize the body, and you come in, you have a shoulder pain, we'll give you something for your shoulder. You may be diabetic, we'll give you something for your diabetes. You may have other issues, and all they do is take the symptoms and treat them with some sort of man-made chemical. They will never cure diseases. Why? They're not qualified, okay? They're not qualified. 4 hours in pre-med of nutrition. No test. All my years of medical schooling. No nutrition. What I have learned on my own. Reading peer-reviewed science, and I know it's kind of boring for some people, but we have to do that. Okay? Reading peer-reviewed science and finding out what is actually going on. Physician-assisted drugs are at an all-time high. Last week on the radio show, we talked about just the antacids alone. 24 billion worldwide. 100 million of us swallow antacids every day. 100 million. What does that tell you guys? Is it a genetic trait? Is it hereditary? It can't be. Look at autism. 5 or 6 years ago, 1 in every 8,000. Then it was 1 in 500. Then it was 1 in 86. Yesterday, 1 in 42. So tell me that's a genetic disorder.
It's called induced holocaust. That's what it is.
I'm sorry?
It's called induced holocaust.
Yes, induced Holocaust. So, we have to go back and even look at, we're going to digress for just a moment, we have to go back and look at the situation with autism. And this is another topic we're going to talk about on the show, epigenetics. It has to do with the fact that at the time of conception, mom and dad, mom had nutritional deficiencies. We all do. Because if you're not supplementing, I have news for you, you've got them. Your body just hasn't reached the point where it's broken down yet to start showing you signs and symptoms. But in the case of a mother, from the moment of conception, she has her innate deficiencies, and they're passed through the placenta to the embryo. It's not a gene that is passed. Genes don't pass through the umbilical. Okay? So what happens is her nutritional deficiencies pass through the placenta to the embryo. Now the embryo is going to try and get all the nutrition that it needs from mom. It's going to rip and rob her of everything. And most of you ladies that have had children, you probably have found out postpartum that maybe you're starting to have gum problems, teeth problems, hair falling out, nails curling up. Why? Baby took everything. The baby took everything. So what we know now is that epigenetics can and does change DNA. DNA in itself is not a defective gene. It's the nutritional component that follows that does not allow for the development of healthy DNA. Does that make sense? Okay. Back to the cholesterol over here. This is my favorite. So we have, so if you look in the bloodstream, you're going to see red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, all kinds of neutrophils, all kinds of other different types of cells. And also in that component is going to be cholesterol, because it's supposed to be there. Cholesterol is the body's patch, all right? As the body starts experiencing free radicals from pollution and stress and our food and toxic buildup, so on and so forth, the body goes into a stress mode. And a direct result of this is if you were looking at an artery, okay, as long as there's a straightaway, there is no collection of cholesterol. So anytime you see a bend in an artery, you're going to see a buildup of cholesterol because trying to make that turn, it doesn't happen. It's almost like a sandy beach, all right? The beach is formed when there's a bend in the river. It's the same with your blood vessels. And in that bend, cholesterol deposits, and it continues to deposit until finally there's an occlusion there. But then we have to wonder, well, why does that happen? Do we have cholesterol buildup in our veins? No. Yes. Arterial sclerosis is in arteries, never in veins. Why? If it's a cholesterol problem, won't you think it'd be in your veins too? The reason why it's not in your veins and it is in your arteries is because of the high pressure blood. Your arteries are carrying high pressure blood to the heart and to the rest of the body. Those bends are there in the aorta, in other major valves, your femoral arteries, so on and so forth. Those bends are there and cholesterol starts to deposit there. Now, cholesterol itself is a very large molecule. And as it's flowing through the bloodstream, it finds its way to where it needs to go. When free radicals and stress and pollution and all these other things we talked about come into our life, free radicals attach themselves to those bends. When they attach themselves, they are toxic. The moment of impact, when they touch those membranes on the inside, free radical damage is done. The walls of the vessels, where it sticks, okay, that tissue is destroyed. When that tissue is destroyed, you have what's called a bleed. You've heard of people bleeding out, hemorrhaging out, right? That's what it's caused from. Now, if we just learn that cholesterol is the patch or the Band-Aid, and you're taking a statin drug, what do you think your chances are of that Band-Aid helping you? Not going to happen. So what happens is you end up with bleed outs. Bleed outs can last 2 minutes, or they can last 10 minutes. Either way, you're dead. But you'll die of a low cholesterol. So this is where they kind of got us. They are scaring us on one end. You must take these drugs because if you don't, there's heart disease and you can die of a stroke. But they're going to induce one for you, don't worry. Okay? So the bottom line is we have to get a grip. We have to educate ourselves and understand that the pharmaceutical companies have a monopoly. We know that. And they're very rich because when they do their testing and they go visit your doctor, and doesn't this irk you, by the way, boys and girls? When you go to the doctor and you've been sitting in the waiting room for God knows how long waiting for your doctor, and the pharmaceutical rep just walks straight on in, and you're like, really? I'm paying the bill for you to sell the drugs to my doctor that he's going to give to me, and you walk straight in and I've been sitting here for 2 hours. It doesn't happen to me because I don't have to go to the doctor that often, thank God. But whenever I see it, the first thing I do is I get up and I talk to the receptionist and I say, wait a minute, this is not right. Do they have an appointment? No, they don't. They just walk in. And the doctor opens the door and they go in the little back room and they get their list of, all their drugs and they're all happy and then they're gone. Meanwhile, you're still sitting out there waiting. You have a question for me?
I have worked in this industry, not in pharmaceuticals, but in the medical device industry, and those sales reps go in, but they, believe me, they get stopped. And typically, I've been a clinical educator, they're always happy to see us, but when they see sales reps, unless they have an appointment, they go running. So they may go past, the first barrier, but they're going to get stopped, they're not going to get in to see the doctor.
That's up for debate. But in any case, the bottom line is, we as the paying public are being disrespected in our own doctor's office because these people are allowed to come in. And the bottom line is, like I said before, I come from this community, so don't get me wrong. I am not bad-mouthing doctors. I'm not. There's a time and a place for doctors. You've been shot. You had your leg blown off in Afghanistan. You've had a heart attack. You've been burned. There are reasons for that. You broke your arm. Okay, fine. But if it has anything else to do, if it doesn't have anything else to do with that, then forget about it. Okay? It's like having a brain tumor and you're going to go to see an orthopedic doctor. It's not going to happen. They do not treat diseases because they don't know how. They are not educated in doing that. It's not part of their curriculum. Their curriculum is one thing: management. Manage pain. Manage diabetes. Manage osteoporosis. You're not going to hear the cure word because they don't cure. And my question to all of you is, the next time you go to the doctor and he wants to write you a prescription, I want you to ask him 3 questions. First question: Doc, how many people have you prescribed this same medication to have you cured? Number 2, can I have a name and a phone number of these people who are currently on these drugs? And number 3, it's never going to happen. Because as I mentioned before, they do not cure. It's only management. And as a result of this management, we're seeing multiple drugs, multiple reactions. So we're going to give you one for your shoulder, one for your knee, one for diabetes, one for this, one for that. And then we're going to give you something to counteract the side effects. Now, I'm sure we all been listening on television. Those side effects are deadly. And in my personal opinion, I will take my chances with the disease. All right? Whether it be cancer, diabetes, I do not care. Because what I have learned is that diseases are caused by nutritional deficiencies. They are not genetic traits. They will look like a genetic trait because it's a familial looking thing. Mom cooked this way, grandma cooked that way, and therefore it could look like it's a genetic trait. Grandma died of breast cancer, my mom died of breast cancer. Okay, so you're like, well, I guess I'm next, right? But understand, these are nutritional deficiencies. Cholesterol specifically is a calcium deficiency. Now, does that mean you can go run out and get a bunch of calcium? No. You can take calcium all day long. There's 60 minerals that your body needs every single day for you to function. Calcium is only one of them. They're all what's called cofactor, which means if you're missing one, you're missing the other 59. If you're missing two, you're missing 58. So you cannot just spot supplement to take calcium to lower your cholesterol. It's not going to happen. It's a combination of minerals that are cofactored, and they are carried into the cell, into the cellular wall, by other minerals, amino acids, and proteins. Now, let's back up for a moment. Bad digestion. Amino acids. Not many in bad digestion. Protein. Most of us have what's called undigested protein flowing through our bloodstream. Why? In your stomach, there are specialized cells that make hydrochloric acid. If the hydrochloric acid is not of the proper pH, between 1.2 to 1.7, you're not breaking down food properly. You're partially breaking down food. The portion that is broken down is absorbed and then goes into the cell, and the ATP and all that, the energy is produced. But this undigested protein that remains in your bloodstream, as it travels through the bloodstream, the body does not recognize it. It only recognizes digested proteins. Whether they be plant or animal-based, does not matter. So you've got this undigested protein now flowing through the digestive tract, and it's a huge protein, huge. So let's say this is, for lack of a better word, here's part of your digestive tract. Normally you're going to see what are called daisy-chained amino acids, little thin chains. That's what you're supposed to have. So let's look at a daisy chain, and at the end is our undigested protein. Big sucker, big, big molecule. So the amino acids flowing right on through. Here comes this protein. Bigger, sometimes smaller, and as it goes through the digestive tract, it is ripping and tearing and inflaming your digestive tract. Now, what does that do to absorption? Zip. Zip. So you can see, you cannot just take calcium. It's the same way with osteoporosis. Doctors are having women take calcium and take D3, and guess what? We're still breaking our hips anyway. Sally Fields used to do the commercial for Boniva. Remember her? You know why you don't see her anymore? She broke her hip. She didn't fall and break her hip. The bone broke and Sally fell. So for those of you who have grandparents or parents, as we all start to age, just know that. Okay? Grandma didn't fall and break her hip. Her hip broke first. Part of the calcium, importance of calcium, is to create inside the bone. If you were to cut the bone open and look at it, there's like a chicken wire inside. And this is where your minerals build and build and build to give the bones the tensile strength that it needs to be a bit flexible. When that mechanism is not there, the bones are brittle. I fell at Trader Joe's when we had the rainy season in March, and I thank God that I have been supplementing. Because when I hit that concrete on my left side, I should have broken my wrist, my shoulder, my hip, and my knee because of the way I fell. I hit it, and guess what? Believe it or not, I did bounce right back out. It was very strange. And as I'm going down, I'm going, please don't let me break anything. Please. And I didn't. Why? Supplementation. It's critical. But you cannot just supplement what you think you're deficient from. Another example, and we're going to get back to cholesterol. I'm trying to tie all this together. You're going to see what happens here. B12 is another one. We need B12 for digestion. You need B12 to make hydrochloric acid. However, in order to make hydrochloric acid, you've got HCl, you need salt. Because the body needs that sodium ion to make hydrochloric acid. So if you're on a salt-restricted diet, where's your body going to get the sodium from? It's not. So as a result of no sodium being able to bond with that chloride to make HCl, the body produces weak stomach acid. Because it needs the B12. And we're lowering our sodium intake. The doctor says you have to be on a low sodium diet. Oh, I'm cutting out my salt and this and that, and I'll guarantee you, you've got digestion problems like a big dog. Okay? You got bloating and gas and farts and all kinds of things going on. Because you need that sodium chloride to help you with the hydrochloric acid. To get that pH in that range so that you can break down the food and absorb it.
Does it matter what kind of salt?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, do you have the salt?
Well, there's studies on that also. I happen to I like to lean toward like your Himalayan things. However, you need iodine. And most of your sea salts do not have iodine.
Oh, okay.
So you want to make sure, you'll have to look for them. There are a few out there. I think Hain, H-A-I-N, I think that's one of them that does contain iodine. And guess what? Iodine is one of the 60 that we were talking about, the 60 minerals. So again, you can see that, okay, we've already talked about calcium, and then we talked about sodium, and now we're talking about iodine. So there's 3 right there, that without them, your body is messed up. Okay? So, I'm sorry. I believe it's H-A-I-N. Hain?
That's correct.
Is it? Okay, great. Okay, so, back to the cholesterol mode a minute. Let's look at, if we were to when we eliminate, let's back up, when we eliminate cholesterol from our diet, or we reduce cholesterol by eggs and less meat, and remember, this is not about being vegan or none of that, we're just talking strictly health right now. The way the body functions, what the body needs every day to function. So you can look at things like veganism and raw fooders and all of that, and having been in this industry now for almost 12 years myself, I'm not so sold on 100% raw. I'm not so sold on 100% vegan. And the reason being is my research is showing me that long-term, these nutritional deficiencies are going to show up. They show up in the form of gum disease, they show up in the form of anemia, they show up in the form of low energy. Many of them have been eating a lot of cacao and things that are loaded with caffeine to give them the energy that they need, because why? Lacking B12. Okay, B12 also for energy, but also for digestion. Most raw people, vegans, raw, most of them are not supplementing. Why? Because people today want to do what is trending. I hear it all day long in my store. When I walk in, I say, oh, are you vegan, or are you raw, or are you vegetarian, or you just want to eat healthy? And all I hear is, oh, I'm vegan. Oh, I'm vegan. Why? Because it's the in thing. But start talking to people about vegan, they don't have a clue. I would submit to all of you, if you decide to make dietary changes, please do your research. Look at the pros and the cons of what you're doing, because it's not about you. Because the moment you make that choice to become raw, vegan, vegetarian, whatever, I have news for you. You have separated yourself from the vast majority of the population, your friends, and your family. When my husband and I became raw, this was almost 12 years ago, we lost all of our friends. They did not want to be around us. Oh, those people are so fanatical. All they want to talk about is fruits and vegetables and this and that, right? Because why? When we do and we try something and it makes us feel good, don't we want to share it? Whether it's a new recipe, or you bought a new pair of shoes, you're going to tell your girlfriend, oh, they had a sale, go down to such and such. That's our human nature. We want to share. But I'm just saying to you, know that when you decide to make a decision, to make a change in your life, be prepared. Because it's going to have a major impact on your life. As I say, losing friends, right? I'm still here. So, the cholesterol in the brain is absolutely critical. In cases of Alzheimer's, that myelin sheath does not exist any longer. So since that insulation is not there to protect the nerves, the body produces this amyloid plaque. And this plaque is more of a waxy substance versus cholesterol. Cholesterol is more of a insulator. And it allows signals, it allows cells to talk to one another, to communicate signals. This is one of the reasons why you'll find with Alzheimer's, if any of you have family members or friends, they're in this repeating mode. Oh, what's your name? Oh, what's your name? Okay, those signals can't get through. They're trying to get through this waxy substance, and those messages are not getting through. So, without cholesterol, we're doomed. We're doomed. And at some point, we have to understand, is it more important to be raw, vegan, vegetarian, or paleo? Or is it more important to save our brain? So for those of us who feel sometimes when you can't find your keys, or I can't find my purse, or you're losing things all the time, not dementia, not Alzheimer's, however, it's an essential fatty acid deficiency. Okay, so we need to look at those components also for helping to repair the brain, because our diets are devoid of everything. And I don't care if you're eating raw, I don't care if you're eating organic, I don't care about that. Because in order for you to get your 60 minerals that you need every single day to feed your body, you cannot tell me that because you bought an organic beet that you're going to get all 60. And you cannot tell me if you put 35 fruits and vegetables into your smoothie. I'll guarantee you are not getting your 60 minerals. Why? Because minerals exist in this country in veins. I did a map of the 60. I did a map just on selenium alone. Selenium deposits in the United States are in the northern part of this country. Montana, Colorado, Indiana, South Dakota, Colorado. Guess what? There ain't no selenium in California. That's only one of 60. There's a map for all of the 60. And when you start looking at the map and looking at what you're not getting, okay, you're not getting the nutrition that you need. And I will not argue with those points anymore. I used to try to defend what I say. I don't have to anymore. The proof of the pudding is the health and wellness of the person. So it's absolutely critical that you have those minerals in order to allow the body to assimilate, to carry the minerals into the cell where they belong, to help to repair the brain with the cholesterol that it needs. Cholesterol, remember, is always the patch. Now, some good sources of cholesterol: eggs, meat, cheese, animal products. The yolks are loaded. And again, we're not here to talk about trending. Just trying to understand body mechanics and how the body works. Now, when your doctor does blood tests, he's going to test for HDL, high density, LDL, low density, and VLDL, very low density lipids. Now, we believe, I believe, that the higher the HDL, which is the good stuff, what that really means and why they want you to have more of it, is the higher that HDL is, the smaller those little cholesterol molecules are in the bloodstream. Easier transport, easier absorption. I personally don't believe there is such a thing as bad cholesterol, LDL. What I do believe is that LDL that is elevated is showing that there's problems with your liver. There is free radical damage being done to your liver. It's not a matter of taking some type of drug so that you can suppress the LDL and the triglycerides and the VLDL. It's telling us that there is something wrong. Okay, now with high LDL, The only way you can reduce LDL is to increase your antioxidants. And your antioxidants can be dark chocolates, like your 85%. You need the antioxidants. You need your berries. You need your fruits that are high, your ones that are colored. Your very colored vegetables are going to be very high in antioxidants. So with the antioxidants being raised, it reduces that inflammation. The LDL will now not be elevated. The HDL will go up, which is what you want. And just know that that's done just through the diet, not through prescription drugs. There is not a prescription drug in the market today that is going to cure a nutritional deficiency. There is not a drug on the market today that is going to cure a nutritional deficiency. It's not going to happen. Okay? Now, I just got a little flag back there. I've got 2 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up real quick, and then we're going to do, we have time for a little Q&A?
I think so.
Okay, we'll do a quick Q&A. Foods that are rich in antioxidants are going to be things like wild blueberries, blueberries themselves, blackberries, prunes, pecans, plums, gala apples, delicious apples, artichokes. Now, we also believe that nutrients, including antioxidants, are very easily destroyed by heat, and this is why I'm going here. When we heat food, we destroy a lot. Antioxidants, vitamins, minerals are the last thing to be destroyed because they destroy at about 400 degrees. And unless you're frying or something like that, that's not going to happen. So we believe that all of our nutrition, our nutrients and our antioxidants have a melting point. Each one has their own set of numbers. For example, if you're eating tomatoes, and this is why we believe in a combination of cooked and raw. If you're eating tomatoes and you're eating them raw, guess what? You're not getting lycopene. But if you cook them, you're going to get the nutrition that you need. So some of them are going to require cooking, some of them are not. Real quick, we're going to talk about low cholesterol and erectile dysfunction. You hear it all day long on television. Guess what? We just learned you need cholesterol to make the sex hormones. You need cholesterol to make testosterone. You need cholesterol to make estrogen. You need cholesterol to make thyroid. So, does it stand to reason? Statin-lowering drugs, and I'll guarantee you it's probably men at age 50 and above, because your cholesterol's over 200, you got to take this. So you do. And the rest is history. So then you have to go get some Cialis. So you can sit in the bathtub with your girlfriend and hold your hand. And my friend said this, and please don't be offended. When they talk about an erection that lasts more than 4 hours, call your doctor. He said, are you crazy? I'm not calling anybody. He said, I'll die with a smile on my face. I'm not calling anybody. Okay? So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up right now. I didn't get a chance to finish everything because I kind of went off on a tangent. But I think you guys understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about cholesterol. It is critical. It is critical. And when you go to your doctor, if you're on statin drugs now, ask the doctor, are you inducing hepatitis? Oh, no. We checked your blood. Okay, and what if you're wrong? What if you're giving me 80 milligrams and later on down the line, I have hepatitis? Okay? So just ask those